Hi guys, welcome to the Emergence Show. This is not a live show, unfortunately. My contingency was to, because of work, they have me out in the middle of the desert. So I was filming from here. I set up a laptop and I was gonna rock and roll. Everything looked good to go. As soon as I turned on the early stream to see if everything would work, the firewall at the hotel crashed my signal. All my upload speed would just drop to zero as soon as I started streaming. It would disconnect and reconnect, disconnect, reconnect, and yeah, that's what happened. So unfortunately, this is not going to be a live show. I had anticipated that if it wasn't going to be live for any reason, specifically the internet connection and whatnot, that I would just record a video and then post it on YouTube, which is what I'll do. So I still want to answer the questions. This is the Emergence Show, episode 3. This is your host, RedHawk, once again. The title and topic at hand was money, jobs, careers, and investing. I just wanted to hit all of those to the best of my ability and also answer a few questions that y'all had asked in the IG stories and answer to the best of my ability. I am not an expert in any way, shape, or form as far as financial aspects, and I'm not doing the best in the world either. So take my word for a grain of salt. I do have some interesting, I maybe not interesting, I don't know, opinions about money, finances, and all that good stuff. So just wanted to hit those points. Let me give a disclaimer. Once again, I'm not an expert in this. I do not have any formal training on finances or money or any of that stuff, other than my own personal experiences and knowledge, and knowledge seeking, whether it's online, in books, or whatnot. Yeah, aside from that, I got allergies right now. I got allergies right now, and out in the desert, I guess it's affecting me. My eyes are a little red. I don't know if you can see, and I got the sniffles, so I apologize for that ahead of time. Let me see. Yeah, a lot of the stuff too, I have very strong opinions on because of my own political belief systems and philosophy, especially when it comes to money. So I wanted to also hit on those, but they're my opinions and mine alone. I do not demand that you listen to my opinions and make them your own. Now, if you find something interesting about it that you like, then cool. You want to adopt them, feel free. But I'm not an expert by any way, shape, or form. And that's pretty much it. Let's get straight to the point. Thank you all once again for listening. If you are watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. That would help me a lot. This way I can go live on there. I think there's like a limitation to how many likes and follows and all that stuff before you can go live, and needless to say, I didn't make that. Same thing with Twitch. I don't have the criteria to become a there's a word for it. Basically, you have to reach the criteria on Twitch before you can post videos on there. That's why I haven't done direct videos on Twitch. I have to put them on YouTube because I don't meet their criteria, but I can go live on Twitch, and that's why I'm doing it like that. It's not because it's just the preference or anything. It's literally because one doesn't let you do the other, and I'm using the two now. Okay, let's get to the point. So real quick definition of what money is. Money is a current medium of exchange in a form of coins or banknotes. That is the definition of money. Now let me give you the definition of currency. It's a medium of exchange in which goods or services are exchanged for, they're exchanged. And that's essentially what those two things are. They could be used interchangeably, but money, I think, is more in forms of like coins or paper notes or things that are, I guess, they're represented by things, items. Currency could be literally services. I'll cut your trees, I'll prune your trees, and return you do my lawn, you mow my lawn. So that's like a form of currency. It'd be labor currency, but currency nonetheless. So yeah, that's what that is. I do not like current money. I don't like the United States dollar. I'm not a fan of using it. I am an indigenous person. That being said, I do believe in the old traditional ways of doing things where, you trade for other things. A lot of times it'd be maybe goods or food, or it would be services, or items that are not readily found in your area. And that being said, to me that's a more tangible and reasonable way to get something that you want or need, whether it's needing medical attention or I don't know, or it's goods or food. Obviously we live in a system right now that's taking a long time to get us to where we're at, so we can't just change it. It's not going to happen overnight, and there's probably nothing that I could say or do that's going to affect that or anybody else for that matter immediately. Yeah, that being said, unfortunately we are in a system where we have to use it. I do think since it is a thing that we use, that we have to kind of cope with it. I know people who are going out of their way to fight against it and try not to use it as much as possible, or remove themselves from a system where they're not using it. What I have learned is that those people are working a lot harder. Needless to say, I give them props for that. I definitely do, but it definitely is harder. It's harder to not utilize the current monetary system. And one of those, the stupid saying, can't beat them, join them kind of thing. But more so as I get older and I realize that, we have to make a decision between the two. It's, are we going to use it? Are we going to embrace those things? Are we not? Some of the questions that y'all asked is a direct reflection of that setup system, and basically, yeah, it's a direct reflection of your moral values, and also what you deem to be moral, what's not. So let's see. Okay, I'm gonna answer one question because some of them kind of go with what the topics were. So the first question was, are we living in the Matrix? Sure. That's a theory. It's a theoretical question. If you've seen the movie The Matrix, it's kind of more or less what it's saying. For those of you that don't know what the hell that means, I think everybody does at this point. And yeah, in some way, shape, or form, I guess you could say we live in a Matrix. But whatever, I don't really buy into that. I mean, yeah, I guess. Let's go with the next question. So where do you start when it comes to investing? That's a good question. Investing. The thing about investing, you have to ask yourself, like, what does it mean to you? What does it mean to invest? It's not always currency. It's not always stocks. It's not always Bitcoin. It's not always all these things here and there that you hear when you think of investing, buying houses, buying property. That isn't always a form of investing. There's other forms of investing, especially into yourself. A good example of that is something that you pay for that's going to make you money down the line. Something that costs maybe a significant amount of money, but in the long term it'll pay for itself, or something that you invest in yourself in as far as education goes, where the knowledge you gain will also pay for itself over time. So that's definitely, when you think of investing, don't just think of money, stocks, business ventures. Just think of, there's just different versions of investing. So when you talk about starting to invest, you think about what it is you're trying to invest in. Are you trying to make money? If you're trying to make money, what are the routes that you can make money? what are the resources that you currently have to invest? I currently have a job. I have financial dollars that I can use to maybe invest in something because I have a job. Some people might not have a job. Some people might have a skill set that they have that they don't get paid for, but it's a very decent skill set. Some people don't have anything, so then you might have to invest into developing a skill set to be able to create some sort of value out of it. So that's definitely investing is definitely something that you want to think of when you're trying to ultimately better yourself. You're trying to come ahead in some way, shape, or form. I can go over my own personal investments that I've made or future investments that I want to make, and y'all can pick my mind about it later. But for the most part, let me read some books that are about investing, and I'll kind of give my 2 cents on those topics. One was Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. My dad told me to read this book over and over and over and over and over again. He's told me to read it over and over and over again, and I didn't. For a long time, I didn't. I just recently read it. I would say beginning of this year I read it, maybe the end of last year. And he kept saying like, "Oh, it's such a good book. It's such a good book. It's such a book. It's a book you need to watch. You need to listen to, or whatever, or read." I like audiobooks, just so you know. I have a bad attention span, and when I read books, I zone out, and then I don't read. Even though I'm reading the words, that I'm not absorbing them. But when I listen to it on a book, on an audio tape book, I absorb the shit out of it. So that's just me. That's why when I refer to these books, is because I listen to them audio. I also have a lot of time while I'm working at home to listen while I'm on the computer doing stuff. So to me, it's just more beneficial. A lot of times, like right now, I drove out to the middle of the desert, and I was able to drive for about 2 hours. That's 2 hours of book reading that I got in today. I'm drinking radiator fluid. So, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Basically, what he talks about in that book is the concept of working, the concept of being a capitalist, and the concept of what you do once you become a capitalist. That book did help me a lot. Not in a way that I think my dad intended. My dad, I don't know. I can't say what my dad's perspective. Actually, we haven't spoke about it since I have read that book, but I would love to hear his opinion on it. But me personally, I took the one thing that I took out of it, and I posted it on my Instagram story, but I just wanted to share it again. In the very beginning, he's a child. He works with his friend. His friend's dad has a lot of money, and he owns multiple businesses. He becomes very wealthy. He's rich. The friend's dad is very rich. He never went to school though. He just immediately started working and investing, and he built his empire. His dad, quite the opposite. His dad was scholastic. I think he was a doctorate, I want to say. And this dude, even though he was a doctorate, didn't make much money. I mean, he was a professor. From what I remember, he was a professor. Yeah, he was a professor, and that's it. He didn't make a significant amount of money. He remembers his dad always not having money and complaining about how the rich were rich, and the usual issues that people like to say when they don't have money. So his friend's dad ended up hiring him at a young age, him and his friend, to work for him. He said, "Hey, you guys are gonna work at my store. I want you to come to the store and basically just work, and I'm going to give you X amount of cents for every hour, and you're going to work like that." So they worked and worked and worked, and a few weeks went by, and they got sick and tired of the same stuff over and over again. They were wondering, are we going to get a raise? Are we going to do better? Are you going to finally well, actually what they did ask for was they asked for advice to make more money. And he said, "Okay, come work for me and you'll learn." So they're waiting for him to teach them a lesson. And it doesn't get taught. I mean, not the way they think it does. So they finally get fed up and irritated. They go to his office, and the dude makes them wait. And there's waiting and waiting and waiting. And people are walking into his office, getting orders from him, and handling their tasks that they normally do throughout the day. They finally, after he clears everybody out and all his businesses are taken care of, he finally talks to the kids. And the kids are like, dude, you're paying us fucking pennies. You're paying us very low wages, and we're breaking our backs working for you. And the boss dad goes, okay, and they were just like, well, we want more money. He's like, well, I'm not gonna pay you more money. And they're like, well, what do you mean? We were working for you so you could teach us a lesson, and you haven't taught us anything. And he goes, well, I'm not gonna pay you anything. And they're like, well, if we, like, he's like, you go back to work for some more time. And basically, to shorten it up, what ends up happening is he ends up teaching them, look, there's two kinds of people in this world. There's ones that will settle for some minimum wage job, making the bare minimum, getting stuck there, and accepting it, and not doing anything with their life at that point. And he said, look at these jobs that I have for these people. I need people to work these jobs, and there's people that come in through this door, ask for a job, get that job, and they never leave. And he said he had old ladies working for him who've been with him forever, and they had no intent on doing anything else, whether it's right or wrong or two different things. But ultimately what he said was that, yeah, if you're a worker, or you're trying to do something with your money, or you're trying to better your life, you can't settle for that. You can't settle for those jobs. You can't settle for those simple remedial tasks that anybody can do. He said there will be people that will do that. Always. There will always be somebody. Not everybody's built the same. Not everybody's hungry. And that was what I got from that book that was really, like, important. That was one of the important things. The second thing that I learned was capitalists are ruthless. And that goes without saying. That's kind of pretty obvious. But the way he was just so like, yeah, I don't care that these people don't make any more money. They want to do it. I'm going to take advantage. And that is the way a capitalist thinks. I don't care. People are down to tolerate it. Therefore, I'm going to do it. And it's going to benefit me. And that is one of the reasons why I don't like capitalism. This is one of the reasons why I don't like to participate in capitalism. One of the reasons why I don't like to participate in money. There's a ruthlessness to it that I don't, as a person, I do not like. Is it preventing me from moving forward? Probably. Is it preventing me from doing financially better? Probably. Would somebody look at my life and say I'm a failure? Probably. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who'll be like, what the fuck do you have to show for? You're 31 years old. You still live in a house with roommates, and you have nothing to show for other than your 2 cars that you're still paying off. And you could look at it and be like, okay, yeah, you're right. You're 100% correct. But I can tell you right now that for the most part, I'm happy with my stance, because morally I'm comfortable with where I'm at. Morally, I didn't do some shit that I can't sleep. I can't sleep with in the middle of the night. I don't have a conscience that's affecting me. Also, coming from a I don't even want to say people of color, but I would say for a more lower income background. I wasn't poor, but I wasn't like of wealth either. I don't have the opportunities to make those crazy rash decisions of screwing people over to make more money. Rarely has those kind of things came up for me. So that's another thing too that hasn't really affected me in some way, shape, or form. And maybe it hasn't. I just really haven't thought about it. Or maybe I have walked over somebody, I didn't realize it. That's also a realm of possibility. Anyways, in that book later, he pretty much says that he realizes that he doesn't want to be like his dad. He wants to be like his his um his friend's dad, who's rich, and he invests his time and energy into things that make him money. One of the things that he invested in was an education in marketing. He got a huge education in marketing, and because of that, he was able to sell stuff. One of the things that he sells, which is what we actually, why I even read his book, is his book. He even ran into an author, and the author was like, "I hate you. You're not a good author." Or he told him something like that, where he was just jealous because like this author wasn't making money, even though he's a professional, you know, English major, or whatever. And he goes, "Yeah, I'm a market." He goes, I'm better at marketing than I am English, but my book is a bestseller, top bestseller, and your book hasn't seen the light of day." And that's the reality of it. He invested in marketing, and now he knows how to market himself. The other thing he invested in was housing and a bunch of other stuff like that. That I didn't really care too much about, because I feel at that point he's trying to market you some other nonsense, and he does have a line of books. So I was just like, "Yo, whatever, dude. You're trying to sell me shit through a book," and I'm like over it. But the gist of the beginning was enough to take something from it, which is I don't want to be that person. And there's nothing wrong with being that bottom person. You know, some people are humbled by that, and some people are okay with that. And our minimalists don't need much, and I'm not knocking you for that if that's who you are. But I personally am not okay with that. I do feel like I need to climb the ladder, at least to an extent. I'm not trying to make millions, but I also don't want to be, busting my ass and my back for somebody else to make money off of me. At least I'm trying to my best ability. So that's one. From that book, I ended up taking on the Blue Ocean Strategy book by Chan Kim and Renee Mabon. I don't know. He's French. Mabon. I don't know. Blue Ocean Strategy. I haven't finished it yet, but it's really good. What it does is explains companies that have created what they call blue ocean strategies. And what that is think of an ocean. If it's a red ocean, it's shark infested, it's bloodied, people are, it's just think of it as like a chaos ball of things going on, right? A blue ocean is open sea, open, nothing else is around you. And that's the concept, is that you're trying to develop a marketing strategy that nobody else has thought of. And there's ways to do it. There's a little, like a criteria list of things that you need to do to create and develop a blue ocean strategy. And it takes some time, it takes some real breaking down of whatever it is you're trying to do, and it might not work. It might not work at all. Your blue ocean strategy just might not be. It's just it's timing, it's what it is, it's functionality, it's technicality. There's just like a whole list of things that you have to meet to create a blue ocean strategy. I'll give you an example of one. They talk about Circus Olay. Circus Olay is one of the top grossing circuses there is to this date, and the reason for that is because they revolutionized the circus. One of the things that was an issue was animals. Right now, people are animal conscious. They don't want to see animals. They feel that animals are being abused when they see an animal in a circus. So a lot of people started avoiding circuses for that reason. The second thing was asked people. So, real quick about the animals. So the animals cost a lot of maintenance. They have a high maintenance cost. So because of that, if you do have animals, you're spending a lot of money taking care of them and training them and feeding them and all that stuff. Now, the second thing was the actors. So apparently there's these high-end, I don't know, clowns, acrobats, I don't know what it is, but they ended up asking for more money, and they have a name in the circus business, but an outsider like you or me who goes to the circus doesn't know who they are, don't really care. It doesn't affect us in any way, shape, or form. So for that reason, it's just like it doesn't affect the viewer at all. So paying extra for talent wasn't beneficial to anybody, and it cost the circus money. The last thing was just people were just coming out of it. Like they just weren't grasping circus anymore. It's not a thing anymore. So what they did was like, well, what's one way we could reimagine it? So what they did was they created a show, very much like a Broadway show. There's actual little acts in the show that are specifically like they have a storyline. They're very short. They're nothing crazy, but they have an actual storyline that the circus actors and stuff do. And because of that, it ended up attracting people who would go to Broadway shows. It started attracting random people who don't really even like the circus because it had cool stories. So because of that, what ended up happening was they started bringing in people who are not normally marketing. They're marketing to, and yeah. So because of that, they blew up. They used less animals, paid less actors, developed a storyline. Oh, and also they started charging the price of Broadway shows. They changed their pricing to reflect a Broadway show. It's basically saying we're a Broadway show, you will pay us accordingly, and it worked. There's plenty of other things in that book that they break down, like, oh, this company did that, this company did this. There's so many in my head that I want to talk about, but I also don't remember at the same time. Let's see what else. I read this book called Stock Market Investing for Beginners by James Johnson. That book's pretty cool because it just kind of explains the bare basics of what stock markets are, how there's different versions of stocks, how there's like groups of stocks, and then there's like startup companies you can invest in. There's different terms, and I would have to have the book in front of me to like break those terms down, but it kind of just breaks the nitty gritty basics of what the stock market is, what it does, and then yeah, so that was kind of cool because I was considering investing in the stock market and I never really got to it. Well, I take that back. I did invest in it, but not the usual way. What I did was I invested in using Cash App just for fun, just to see how I can do what I would do. And so far I've been making I don't think about the actual money I made. What I think of was the percentage, because the percentage is what's valuable when you trade. If you're a trader, if you're a holder, then that's a different story. Then you don't really care. You care, oh, my stocks are going up, my stocks are going up. That's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. I just personally like the whole trade aspect. I like the little percentages that you can make here and there, and then you could compound those interests and whatnot. But I haven't really done that with stocks. I just bought a few, made a little quick buck, and then I sold them, and then I just don't invest anymore. But that's just because I'm playing around with it. I wanted to see how it was. And then on some other note, I read Buying Home for Dummies by Eric Tyson and Ray Brown, and that's from the book, the book line, whatever for dummies. Like obviously fill in the blank for dummies, because I did want to buy a house. I do want to buy a house, so I wanted to learn a thing or two about house building. I mean, house buying, not building. Oh yeah, building too, but yeah. So going back to the question, where do I start? So obviously I already invested in myself by just giving myself knowledge. That's numero uno. That's the simplest thing, because information is for the most part free online. I do have a subscription to Audible, because I do love hearing books. Something about books just is better than YouTube. I can't explain it. It's just more structured, more thought out. The people that write them are experts, so I definitely like listening to books more than I do like YouTube. YouTube's cool, and you get a little, we call it a YouTube degree in whatever it is you're trying to learn, but it's not going to be perfect. A lot of false information out there, information that doesn't apply to you. So invest in yourself. My Audible subscription is $15 a month. What is that? It's a combo at freaking, Chipotle. That's a combo right there. For $15, I literally can get a book at any price, one book a month at any price. And to be honest, most people don't read a book in a month. It takes longer. So It's cool. That's the first thing. Now, the second thing is maybe a career or opening your own business. So obviously, like a good example for that is I personally wanted to start a shirt making company. I love t-shirts. Like I love printed shirts. I've liked them since I was into skateboarding. You know, wearing like World Industries and seeing Flame Boy or Wet Willie on the shirt, or a blind shirt or a zero shirt with the skull. Just having a shirt that has your character on it. It was always like a big thing for me. I liked it a lot. I always really got a kick out of shirts. I never wear blank plain shirts. Like now I do as an adult, but only because out of necessity. Like I'm at work. Like obviously I can't be having crazy stuff on my shirts because it's a professional setting. But if I'm out of work, there's a good chance I'm wearing. Like right now I'm wearing an OXDX shirt. I don't know if you can see it. Made by Navajo dude. Yeah. So I wanted to do that. So one of the first things that I bought was a shirt press, a heat press. And what you do with that is you get heat transfer paper, you print a design, you take that heat press and you put it on a shirt, you put the design that you printed out, you put it on the shirt, and then you press it down, and bam, it's now on that shirt. I've made a few shirts like that. I think it's pretty cool. I loved it. The only downfall to that is sorry guys, my allergies are really killing me. Is cutting negative space. I didn't know that was going to be an issue till I got the stuff. Cutting negative space in shirts or designs, I don't know why I thought the negative space was just going to be clear, and it wasn't. They're white. This is the color of the paper. So you have to cut around your design. So you can't do words, you can't do stuff like that. So that's the only reason why I haven't really started doing too many shirts. What I found out recently, real quick, the heat press was I think about $200, I want to say. So that's an investment I made. I put $200 down to make a shirt press. Why? Because one, I wanted to make my own printed shirt so I could get a cheap little AAA shirt or whatever shirt, Pro Club, at the store for whatever X dollars, less than an actual shirt that already has a print on it. And I could literally design my own, design, print it out on my computer, and then stamp it onto my shirt. I don't know if y'all saw the other day, but I have basically it's a copy of a Gundam, a Gundam MK2, and it's literally the image of the box, the model of the box, the model's box, I should say. And I took a big square of paper, printed on there, and then stuck it to my shirt. And I got a lot of compliments for it, and I like it. I really enjoy it, and it's one of a kind. There's no other shirt out there that has that. So yeah, that's why I invested into that. Now the other thing that I invested in was obviously the paper. The paper's not that expensive. It's probably like $15 for like a pack of 50, if I'm not mistaken. What else? Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. So like one of the things that I want to invest in to make that whole process easier, and it actually coincidentally aligns with my wife's, what she wants to invest in, is a Cricut. Now what the Cricut does is it actually prints the image for you on the paper, so you don't need to use your printer. And then what ends up happening is it leaves these little like markers that the Cricut could actually read. You can't see them, but there's little things that the little sensor reads, and then it cuts based on that. So if you have negative space in an image that you printed, the Cricut will, after it prints out, you stick it back in there, and it has a little blade and just it cuts it all out. So then you have your image with all the negative space already cut out, and now you can stick it on a shirt, and it's a little more intricate. It's not just a square or a circle or a solid piece. You can do things with holes in it, with image logos, all that stuff. So that's probably like, if like I really want to invest in that because I can make shirts like that. And also my wife wants to use it to cut copper sheets of thin copper sheets. You can actually chop designs into it, and she wants to make jewelry with that. So we might both decide, hey, you know what, let's invest. I think that's another $200 on that, and boom, Now she has a business that she could start selling jewelry, and now I could start selling shirts. What else? My music. That was more for fun. I invested in the recording audio stuff. My brother happened to invest in a beat making MIDI controller, and then all that stuff. I ended up investing a few dollars here and there into like plugins or just better versions of the DAW that I was using, Ableton. And why? Because, well, now I realize, like, with my producing abilities, I could actually sell it and make money. Is it the best venture? No, because I haven't really sold any of my beats, but also I haven't really been. That's the other thing too. It requires effort. You have to like get yourself out there. You have to constantly grind and get your name out there. I'm actually using the Blue Ocean strategy to develop something for my beats that nobody's ever seen before. I don't want to say it on here because I might burn myself, but it's a way a producer hasn't sold beats before, and it might work, it might not, it might flop, but if it works, it's going to be, in my opinion, pretty damn cool. I guess when I'm closer to actually doing it, that's also going to cost money, so that's why I haven't done it yet. That's an investment that I have to decide if I'm ready to make or not. So there you go. Invest in yourself in any way, shape, or form. Maybe it's a job. Maybe the job requires you to get a license. Maybe, it requires you to have some kind of training. Maybe not necessarily school, but training or school. So that's an investment as well. If it costs you money to go to school and you're able to start working immediately, then that's an investment in yourself. Let's see. Let me go into the job thing. So on the job situation, so I talked to a youngster this past weekend, a native youngster, and shout out to him if he's watching this, but he told me something that really bothered me, which was that he wanted to join the military. And it is a solution to a lot of people's problems. I'm not going to deny that, especially for men, in my opinion, to join the military. It's almost a guaranteed job, at least for a few years. The only problem is you're the government's biatch. I'm not going to deny that. For 8 years, you are in some kind of contract with the military, which is in the United States. And if in 8 years they decide to go to war, you could potentially go to war. Now, I come from a family of military personnel. My father served. My father went to Iraq. He did 2 tours. A lot of negative came from it. I'm going to straight up say it. A lot of negative stuff came from it. I'm not happy with the fact that he served. And it's not because of moral reasons. There's obvious moral reasons why I also don't agree with it. But more so on a personal note, like my family got destroyed primarily because of that. And maybe there's going to be different opinions on that. But that I feel like that's a big, it contributed heavily to it. It might not be the main actual source of what happened, but it definitely contributed to my family's downfall. So, rather than what I was telling him was like, dude, rather than, okay, I'll give you his age too. He was 21 years old. I wish I was 21 years old talking to myself, because I would have talked myself into some stuff and I would be making way more money now. I would have been making so much more money now. I probably would have owned my own house already, my own cars, and still been trying to live the native lifestyle with land and growing stuff, and who knows. But that's neither here nor there. I'm not going to sit here and just say, oh, shoulda, coulda, woulda. What I'm saying to the kid, though, to the youngster, I don't want to call him a kid. He's not a kid. He's an adult. But a young adult, was that he has a lot of time on his hands. He didn't have a family. He has no kids. He has his relative family, like his brothers and sister and dad and mom. But he doesn't have his own children. He's not tied down in that way. He's not tied down to even a girlfriend at that point. Not that girlfriends tie you down, but obviously when you have a significant other, they're going to want your time. And sometimes if you work at a job that requires you to work 12 hours a day, 10 hours a day, or requires traveling, that's going to put a burden on your relationship. And if your significant other isn't willing to deal with that, well, then yeah, that becomes a problem. So if you're a young person or even an older person and you have nothing going on for you like that, that gives you some opportunity to invest in a job that requires more time and effort. And that's kind of what I was telling him. I'm like, dude, you have an opportunity right now where you can change your life. And I go, here's an example. You can go to a Class A driver's license course, a commercial license course, for about $3,000. Now, they vary more or less depending on how fast you can get it or what school it is. But for the most part, it's about 3 Gs. Now, with that license, what can you do? Right off the bat, you can be a trucker. You could become a groundman for Edison. You could become a lineman apprentice for Edison or any other power company for that matter. Pretty much any company that drives bigger, larger vehicles needs people with Class A licenses. So that opens up a lot of opportunity to join even entry-level jobs that require Class A licenses, commercial licenses. And I told him, look, you're not doing anything right now. What you should do, probably, my advice, you don't have to take it, but my advice is maybe go get a whatever Mickey Mouse job, go work at McDonald's, go work at your grocery store, whatever. Save up, build up a few $1,000s, maybe a little extra so you can have something to live off of while you're in training. And then once you get that huge chunk of money, however long it takes you, jump into that school. I'm like, dude, jump into that school now. You jump into that school, let's just say it takes 6 months, maybe a year. You have now a license that you can drive commercial vehicles. From that point forward, I go, dude, Edison was hiring groundmen up the wazoo. I think they kind of froze it because of COVID and their budget restraints. But if it wasn't for that, they were constantly hiring groundmen. Groundmen don't make a crazy amount of money, but for what you're doing, it's not that big of a deal. They're pretty much the gopher for the lineman. So if a lineman's on a pole and he needs, like, let's just say an arm, he'll be like, hey, like, groundman, get me my arm. So the groundman might have to actually, like, carry it from the truck to the pole spot. Maybe he has to rig it. I don't really know. I'm not a groundman. But I'm assuming that they're, for the most part, a gopher. And the people that I do know that did that work, that's kind of more or less what they say they are. And once you do that, you're in Edison. Or any other company for that matter that has careers. From that point forward, he could become a journeyman apprentice and then eventually a journeyman lineman. Apprentice lineman and then a journeyman lineman. That's what I was trying to say. And even as a groundman, the reason why that job is so valuable, they don't make that much money, but they still come out with almost 100K, is because whenever your house loses power, a crew of groundmen and linemen show up to the site and they work on that power. Well, when they're out there in the middle of the night, they're making double time. So if you make even $25, you're making $50 an hour. And if it takes you 8-hour shift, well, that's $50 an hour at 8 hour at that price. So you're making ridiculous amounts of money. Yes, you got called out in the middle of the night. Yes, you had to wake up in the middle of the night. You might not have the craziest amount of free time, but if you're a young 21-year-old, why not? What else are you doing? Playing fucking video games? I mean, that's what I was doing. I wish somebody had told me, hey, you can do this kind of work. All you have to do is do this. And I would have done it. I had a lot of access to really cheap schooling. I had a lot of access to that, and I could have done that, because I personally don't like school. I don't like regular college. I went to college. I got accepted to Cal State LA, and I didn't stay there long. I went to ELAC, didn't stay there long. Went to Rio Hondo, didn't stay there long. It's just not for me. It's just not how my mind works. So yeah, now trucking school is different. Pole climbing school, that's different. I can do that. Mechanic school, I probably could do that. That's just the way my mind works. I love working with my hands. I like working with my brain. even what I do now, I'm working with both. I get to go out into the field. I'm on a computer literally designing poles, like on a computer that requires a lot of information, a lot of knowledge, a lot of memory, and math. So, that I applied myself. Prior to that, I was working at AT&T. I went to their training. I learned telecommunications. I know how to fiber splice. I know how to make Cat5 cables. I know how to run cable. I know how to do all that stuff because I like learning that stuff, and it was in a trade form. So, back to what I was saying. So yeah, if you're a 1-year-old kid and you have nothing doing, you're not doing anything, go through those processes. Work a job that's gonna pay you $50 an hour just to wake up in the middle of the night and go work. What else are you doing? I wish I could say the same for women, and I'm not gonna say that they're not exempt, because I know for a fact there's women groundmen. I know for a fact there's women premtechs that were working at AT&T doing exactly the same thing as I did. I had one in my garage, and I knew other ones that were in other garages. The job that I'm working at as a planning technician is also, there's actually quite a few women, more women than the other two spots. So, that's the other thing. Don't let your gender dictate what jobs you can work. Just because you're a female don't mean you have to work clerical work. Doesn't mean you have to work retail. Doesn't mean you have to work as a paralegal because, it's clerical or whatever, or a medical officer, that matter. Yeah, there's a lot of things that come with working at a shop. Obviously there's shop talk and shit like that you're gonna have to deal with, but does it put money on the table? Yeah. Does it pay you? Do you learn a skill? Yes. So I feel if you really want to, you can do anything like that as a female. I'm gonna teach that to my daughter. Basically, she could do whatever the hell she wants. She's not stuck doing women jobs, quote unquote women jobs. So yeah. Oh, and mind you, I didn't even get to the end of that statement. So once you become a groundman, and then you become a journeyman, an apprentice as a lineman, and then eventually a lineman, journeyman, those dudes are making, I would say, almost $50 an hour, maybe more, and they're doing the double time, so they're not making $100 an hour, if not more. And that's a rough estimate. I know they're making a lot of money. I mean, I'm talking well over 100K, and that's you hear lawyers are making 100K, you hear doctors are making 100K. So these people are making the same amount of money, all because they're risking their lives a little bit to climb a pole and attach shit. But there's safety protocols that keep you from dying. There is mistakes and there's accidents, but in every job I would say there is. So yeah, that and that's what I mean. Invest in yourself. Invest in things that are going to benefit you in some way, shape, or form. Currently, right now, what I'm doing, just so I can speak on my own little 2 cents, is I was working for AT&T for 6 years. About year 3, I wanted out. The job was cool. It paid decent. I was at $29 an hour by the time I left. But the amount of stress that I was dealing with working for them was unacceptable. The amount of stress I was dealing with driving was unacceptable. Seeing my family at a very short period of time was also unacceptable. It was causing a strain on my relationship with my wife, causing a strain with my kids. And I'm a person that likes my own free time. So when I come home and I want to play video games just to fucking relax, but my wife hasn't seen me all day, that's not a good look. It's not a good thing to do. So I knew I had to leave, and there was no going up. If there was going up, then maybe I would have stayed, but there wasn't. The Premtechs were locked in that position on purpose. It was designed that way, and I will not let anybody say otherwise. It was designed that way. There's a few that got out that were lucky enough to get out, but there's very few. The most of my friends that I work with they left the company because they knew it was a dead end. They pay you just enough to want to stay, but not enough to do anything spectacular with your life. And that to me is a dead end. That goes back to what the rich dad, poor dad guy was saying, even though it's a good paying job. So what I did was, like I said, after 3 years, I was looking for work. I was applying to other spots. I was trying to get either a new skill in a different field or do the same thing that I was doing, but in a way where I can go up. Well, what ended up happening, I got this job as a planning technician at Edison. it was a pay cut for it. So I was going to make from 29, I started at 27. To me, it was worth it for two reasons. One, the location. I currently work in Compton. I live in East LA, so that's a 30-minute drive as opposed to working in the West Valley of San Fernando. I was driving an hour and a half one way, an hour and a half back, if not more sometimes, 2 hours at times because of traffic. That takes a toll on you mentally, takes a toll on your vehicle, so the physical aspects of your car. I've been in accidents. I've had debris hit me on the freeway because I'm driving long distance multiple times a day. That the chance of things like that happening to your cars goes up. I've been hit by people who rear-ended me. So those are all the stresses that you don't think about when you're thinking about, oh, I gotta drive to a job, and it takes a toll on you mentally. So losing that 27 or those $2 to have a job at Edison, I've yet to hear bad about Edison. Just kind of just to show you. So yeah, I have not really experienced anything negative, and it's been over a year now. The job is a little hard, I'm not gonna lie, but I've learned a new skill. I still actually can apply some of my old job stuff to this new job. And the beauty is right now they're talking about how we can progress into the company. And right now, at the rate that I'm going, if I can become a planner, an actual planner, those guys make over 100K. And that's the route that I would love to take. That's going to make me money. Now, if for some reason it takes too long or it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen, well, then guess what? I'm going to go look for another job. And it's just as simple as it is. I'm not going to settle for less. And that's me personally. I didn't want to get stuck. So, but I seem right now I feel comfortable enough where I feel that I'm gonna better myself. And then there's also the route of physical outdoor stuff. So if none of this all works out, I can actually go be a groundman. Do I want to make that choice? Probably not. I like the AC. I like being inside every once in a while more than I like being outside all the time. And I do like to see my kids. And my wife, and I value that time, especially as an indigenous person. I like to me, that's more valuable than anything money can offer, and I don't want to cut too much into that time. So I kind of covered the jobs right there. Let me go to the next question. Are we sellouts by participating in other forms of capitalism? And I would say no. Unfortunately, our people and other people had the system thrown onto them. It's nothing that we chose. I know when I was born, they didn't say, "Hey, do you want to participate in capitalism or not?" No, they didn't give you that option. It's very much thrown on you. It's thrown on your parents. It causes issues, generational issues. It's something that it's something that a lot of people don't shed light on. Participating in it. One of the things that we have to understand is if you really break it down is indigenous folk and black folk and even other oppressed people got to start their whole process of becoming who they are relatively recently. It wasn't until I should have wrote these dates down because I know them. But it wasn't till, I would say, look at 19, I'm forgetting the dates. The point I'm trying to make is that there's a lot of opportunity that people couldn't participate in because they were so far behind because of slavery, because of being put on reservations, because of lack of documentation, because of all these things that happened to our people. And when they finally allowed us, hey, you guys can now participate. All right, now we're going to see you kind of as equal. We're far behind. They have a head start. And I know a lot of people, especially a lot of brown folk, are like, that's not a fucking excuse. That's you have every right to go to school, and there's nothing that's preventing you from doing better in life and this and that. But reality is, it actually does. If you're the first few generations of actually going to school, How many of your parents can actually help you with things like how to apply for financial aid, how to properly pick your classes, how to sit in and actually add classes, how to deal with those kinds of things, your scheduling, your being able to drive to your school, transportation. Jesus Christ, why couldn't I think of that word? Transportation. When I started going to school, I didn't have a car. I was driving my dad's Jeep, and it was falling apart. It was this project car, and it was leaking oil. I had to pay for parking passes. I had to pay for, I got tickets for it. Like, I mean, showing up late to school, there's no parking because the college campus parking lots are filled to the brim. I didn't expect that going to school. I thought I'm going to go to school like I did in high school, go through my classes, come home, do my homework, and I thought it was going to be cool. No, legitimately they put these they say, oh, it's college is for adults and you're growing up. No. What they're doing is they remove the responsibility as a facility and put it on their students. If they process your paperwork incorrectly, guess what? It's your fault. It's not the school's fault. They're gonna say, oh well, sorry, we try to help you, or hey, I need to talk to a counselor to pick up my classes, and pick my classes for the career that I'm trying to make. Oh well, you got to schedule a meeting with the counselor, and it could be a few days from now. It could be, especially with COVID, who knows what the hell that looks like. And I went to school a few years, like 10 years ago. Who knows what it looks like now? It's not easy, especially if you're the first generation going to school. Especially, and even if you're not, like my parents went to college. They went to community college. They got an AA degree, both of them, and my grandmother, almost all at the same time. They're telling me, oh, it's easy. You should be able to do it. You should be able to do that. And it wasn't easy. My classes were super duper impacted. I couldn't get my generals because the people that needed generals was through the roof. People that came out of the inner city, didn't have good grades coming out of school, had to take remedial and pre-college level algebra, pre-college level English. That was where I was at. I'm not bad in those fields. I'm not, maybe speaking, but like writing, I don't have that bad of a problem writing. I don't really have that bad of a problem doing math. I'm actually really good at math, I think. But on paper, I was behind the college level. And because of that, I had to add classes. And I remember feeling very discouraged by it. And I would have my parents tell me, or mostly my dad, say, oh, like, you need to just sit there and you need to add class and don't accept no for an answer. Like, really? So you go into a class where literally your professor at the very beginning says, if you're trying to add a class, leave now, you're not going to get it. So right away, I have to keep pushing that, even though the professor is straight up telling you, don't even stay here, don't waste your time. And a lot of time it happened. I've seen other people where I was in that class and somebody else sitting there and he says, don't wait here, you're going to waste your time. They still waited there because they had some faith in them, or they felt that their urgency and their will to get that class was going to be enough to actually get it. And the professor said, I told you. Why did you wait? I'm not adding you to my class. Period. And guess what? They wasted their time. They wasted 2 hours or 3 hours, however long the lecture was. And that's the stuff that as a parent, like, you might not understand because your time was a little different. I know when my daughter, if she chooses to go to college, or my son, it's going to be way different than when I went. Hopefully better. I don't think so. I think it's going to get worse, but that's my opinion. Also, degrees, they don't really count as much anymore. A lot of them. I know people that have degrees and guess what? They're working at home. The same, like, lower end jobs, not in the field that they wanted. Why? Because their degree doesn't really matter. They want masters now. Now they want this, they want that, they want a higher degree, they want a PhD, so back to the question. So I'm kind of going on a tangent here about college and why I don't like it. Should we participate in other forms of capitalism? Yeah. And I say we should only because we are put in a system where we have to. I think there's some morals that you should probably think of when you're participating in capitalism. But ultimately, capitalism is a place for no morals. Pimping out my own people, I would advise against it. But there's a lot of people that do. There's a lot of people that make money off of their people. There's a lot of people that make money off of sorrow, that make money off of depression, that make money off of pets, that like pet traumas and things like that. And but that's capitalism. That's how it is. But I feel like if you're trying to sell something to get ahead, do it. If I'd rather be called a capitalist and survive a little bit better, more comfortably, than be desperately poor and saying, well, at least I didn't participate in this fucking shitty system. And I think at some point, this was also, I really wanted to point this out. When you participate, whether it's having a job or trying to make some money, it also opens so much more doors for you, your friends, your family. One of the issues that I have growing up was my friends also didn't have money. So when we wanted to do stuff, to have experiences, to gain knowledge, all that stuff, it's out of reach because Johnny over there doesn't have enough money to go do the things that we all wanted to go do as a group. Or I have to cover him, or he has to cover me because we don't have enough money. Well, guess what? That thins the little resources we have, and now we can't participate in things that are better, things that are worthwhile experiences in life, things that might make everybody as a whole better. Or even fun things. One of the things I like about this life is that enjoy your life. I'm not saying to keep all your money and hoard it like a dragon, but enjoy it a little bit more. What's the point of living life if you're gonna live to your 60 and you cash out then and now I'm gonna enjoy my life? You spent 60 years never spending a cent, and you're gonna enjoy your little short life at 60. Good luck doing jujitsu at 60. I mean, people do it, don't get me wrong, but I'm sure it's a lot more enjoyable in your 20s and 30s, or other things are a little bit more enjoyable. Snowboarding is a little more enjoyable when you're younger. But when you have no money, when you and your friends don't participate in the system or don't have those extra funds, guess what? Now we can't all go snowboarding. Now we can't all go and buy a cabin and actually enjoy being in the forest and being in a cabin for the first time. Why? Because, I don't participate in the system. Even in a different, like let's just say self-defense, I'm able to purchase firearms. I am a registered firearm owner. Why? Because I have money enough to buy guns. Somebody who doesn't have the money can't buy a gun. And it also affects being poor nowadays. It's really detrimental to everything, to your health, to your well-being. You have a car, let's just say it breaks down because you don't have money to fix it. Now on street sweeping day, you get a ticket. And guess what? Now you're in the hole even more, $60 more. And guess what? You don't pay that because you don't have money to pay that. Well, the state has a way of making it go up all the way up to $100 and something for one ticket. It basically doubles over time. And guess what? You don't pay all that back, and it builds, and you get another ticket, and you get another ticket. It's happened to me several times. At the end of the year, they're like, oh, we're going to add a fee for you not paying all your shit, and we're going to throw it onto your taxes. So now we're going to intercept any income tax that you got, that's your money that you worked for, and we're going to pay off those tickets that you never paid. And I think at that point, it costs more money to be poor than it does to be rich. And it's sad. It's not fair. I don't agree with it. I really hate it. So I really recommend, participate in capitalism. Not because I like it, not because I agree with it, but because almost we have to at this point. Is it better to not to be on welfare and to have your kid on Medi-Cal where it takes 3 months to get a referral to go to a specialist? Or is it better to have a job and have insurance and actually be able to go, you pay for insurance and now I can go to Kaiser, even at the very least, and my doctor's going to see him that day. I'm going to get a referral. I'm going to see him in a week as opposed to 3 months. Those are the things that people who are like, fuck capitalism, don't talk about. And I'm not saying not fuck capitalism, but when you choose to not participate in it, it becomes really hard. And I really, really, I applaud those that do not participate on purpose. I do applaud those who don't give into that. But man, you're playing it on hard mode. You're playing life on hard mode. So, yeah, short answer to that, yeah. You're not a sellout for investing in capitalism. It's almost a necessity, in my opinion. In my opinion alone. I'm pretty sure there'll be people out there that can say otherwise. Okay, the next question. Credit. Good, bad, why? Credit. I fucking hate credit. I have a good credit score. I'm at 7. I think I'm at like 740. I want to say 740. Yep. 741, 748. That's what my credit score is. I hate credit. I fucking think it's a scam. In every way, shape, and form, it's a scam. First of all, you start off with no credit. You get nothing. Not a bad credit score, not a 0. You absolutely have nothing. And guess what? You can't get shit with that. The only thing that you can get is a secured credit card, which you have to pay a deposit for. So if you don't pay your credit card bill, they take that deposit and they pay it off, and then they close your card and they give you a bad credit report. Now that's cool and all. Honestly, I recommend if you have kids or you are somebody with no credit, do that. Save $200, invest in yourself. Back to what I said, invest in yourself. Put $200-$300, go to a bank. Credit unions have it too. I bank with a credit union because I don't like banks. I think banks are scams. And you tell me, I want a secured credit card. They'll say, all right, let's see. This is what we have. Okay. You give them your money. You put in a savings account that you can't touch. They give you a credit card. The money you put is your spending limit. So I have a $300 credit card spending limit. Use it. You're going to put gas? Boom, use it. But get that cash ready for when you have to pay it, and then you pay it. And what they don't tell you is that the billing cycle affects when you pay it. They say, oh, pay it off right away. Yes, pay it off right away, but within your billing cycle. Sometimes it's every 15th. So even though you use your credit card to buy gas, it might not appear till the 15th. And then you could pay it. But they're counting on you to forget, because guess what? When you forget, there's interest, and that's how they make their money. And when you miss a payment, it's even worse, because now you get a fee, there's all kinds of stuff that could happen. So that's one way to start your credit. It's fucking retarded. It's the dumbest thing ever. I need money to build credit. Like, how stupid is that? The other way you can do it, I would say, is a little bit more difficult, especially financially, is to get a credit card at a retail store, like, I don't know, Best Buy, JCPenney, whatever, any one of those. And usually they won't give it to you if you have no credit. That's the other thing. Usually. My first credit card, believe it or not, was at a jewelry. I think it was a jewelry company. They did it. A lot of money. A lot of interest. They give you 20-something% interest of whatever it is you buy. So that's a lot of money that's coming out of your pocket when you pay that off. But they said, oh yeah, we'll do it. Sign you up. I built credit because of it, so I can't complain. But what sucked about that, and I didn't think about this either, because nobody tells you this, because they don't teach you this, is you have to invest in something, a credit card that is reusable. I mean, so when you buy goods, like for instance, my first credit card was the jewelry store. I don't ever want to buy jewelry again. I don't want to spend a dumb amount of money at a store that's selling literally pieces of earth. That's the way I see jewelry. I think it's pieces of earth. I find no more value in a diamond than a sapphire, no more value of a sapphire to an amethyst, no more value to a piece of jade, to a piece of gold, to any of that. To me, they're all precious, beautiful things that earth provides, and they're not more precious than the other, especially when you understand what's going on in the diamond industry. We won't go there, but for those of you that know, you know what's up. So the problem with that is when you use a credit card, let's just say you pay it off finally, you have to use it again within a year. If you don't use it within a year, the credit card company can close your account. When they close your account, guess what? If you don't have another credit card going, your credit goes back to zero. Because they're gonna say, "Oh, you have no credit. You're the one account you had closed." I'm like, "Well, yeah, because I paid it off." "Well, why did you close it?" "Well, I didn't choose to. They closed it for me because I didn't use it in a year." "Yeah, well, that's bad on your credit." They don't explain that to you. So it's better if you do get something retail, or if you're able to get a credit card that's just a plain old credit card. That's always good to have. I don't actually have one, but I really should. But because I'm in the process of potentially buying a house, I haven't got a credit card that you can just spend on anywhere. But I really think I should, and I'll get to that later. So that's the scam of credit. Now, because of that, what ended up happening, so one thing that they measure your credit on is your age of credit. So the older your accounts are, the better your credit score gets. So if you have a 10-year-old credit card, yeah, it's going to help you out long term. Because my jewelry closed, my age of credit shortened. It went from like 6 years to 3 years because the next thing I got for credit was like 3 years after. So it turned to be a waste. It was a waste, and it hurt my credit score. So yeah, secured credit cards, that's a good way to start building your credit. Once you have one of that, I strongly recommend you apply for some kind of credit card that you can use anywhere. Retail is cool. The only downfall, like I said, high interest rates, so you don't want to get one of those. A regular credit card that you can use anywhere, it also has relatively high interest rates, but at the end of the day, you can use it anywhere, and in the case of a pinch, you have some kind of asset. Also, I'm going to explain why I should also get one. Is I heard this guy, and I forgot what he was an investor. He said that he never carries a debit card around. He said, "I don't want to be liable for my money." He said, "If anybody steals my credit card, it ain't my money." He goes, "They're going to send me a replacement immediately." And guess what? That for sure, any money that gets used is going to be it's insured, and also it's going to be put right back into that account faster than it is if it was your debit card in your own account. And he said, "That's why I carry a credit card. I don't carry a debit card. I don't want anybody to have access to my personal savings accounts." And then the dude also later said that, "Yeah, I'm going to use their money to pay for all the stuff up front right away." He goes, and then I pay it off as I go. To me, that was like, oh, yeah, that's smart. That's a good way to look at it. You don't use your money to buy shit. But at the same time, it could also be a trap, because if you get, buying happy and you start buying everything, and then now you're in debt. And that also happened to me. I ended up in not a crazy amount of debt, but I'd say overall between me and my wife, about $10,000 in debt. A lot of it was like furniture and stuff that I needed, I guess, because I was in an apartment, and like I need some kind of furniture, or a TV, or gifts for Chris, like things. Yeah, that's the thing. Don't ever go into debt for gifts and stuff like that. But needless to say, I paid it off, and it helped my credit long term, as you can see what it is now. And with that, I'm able to buy a house, so that's good. And the higher your credit goes, obviously the better shot you're going to get at buying bigger purchases if you choose to. Just know that when you go buy bigger purchases like a car, you're essentially enslaving yourself to that car. You're guaranteeing that you have to probably labor for somebody else for X amount of years. So if I buy a car, I'm probably going to have to work for 7 years mandatory, because that's the only way I'm going to be able to pay my car note and insurance. And when you look at it from that perspective, it opens up the doors to reality. Like, hey, you're going to have to make sure that you're going to be at an income place for 7 years, or whatever long the term of your loan or lease is. And you got to think about that, because you can definitely put yourself in a tight spot. Like right now, I'm trying to buy a house, and my lease on my cars aren't over, so that affected my debt to income ratio. So that affected how much I qualify for to buy a a house. So it's a little bit harder for me to look for houses, but also the cost of my monthly payments is also cutting into what I can put down in my mortgage. So even if I did qualify higher, I might not be able to afford a more expensive mortgage because I jumped into a car. So buying really high-end cars might not be the greatest idea because you just caught yourself up in a long period of time. And guess what? They're using your credit as collateral when you fuck up on those things. When you mess up on not paying those things, your credit is what gets hit. That is the way that they have you like that. It's your credit. Because they know your credit is what affects your future purchases. It's what affects your credit cards. Nowadays, it even affects your jobs. They do credit reports. When you go apply for an apartment, sometimes it's credit. That all affects it. So it's almost like China. They have a social report now, social score. And that's I would hate for that to be here because it's just going to make things a whole lot worse. I mean, credit's already bad. And I imagine a social, you got to be socially better. They say it's to benefit, but to be honest, I don't see that. I see somebody like myself being considered a menace more than I am a helpful citizen because I'm not trying to be a helpful citizen in the United States. So, yeah, credit, it's good in the sense where you need to participate in it to do things in this world. That's just straight up how it is, unless you get lucky and get gifted stuff. But it's bad because it's a scam, it's a shitty system, and it doesn't get taught to poor communities, in my opinion, how to properly utilize credit and build it and maintain it. And yeah, that's one thing that I could definitely help people on, only because I focus a lot on it. So if in the future, if y'all want to hit me up directly and ask me about your credit building and stuff, I'll gladly help. And I've helped a few people purchase cars and stuff like that because of that. Kind of. They did it on their own, but I helped a little bit. The next question was thoughts on crypto. So I was a crypto investor. Crypto is short for crypto coins or cryptocurrency. And basically what that is virtual currency that is on the internet that is obtained by mining usually and can be traded for real life tangible things with fake money. And I say fake lightly. And the reason why I say fake lightly is because the amount of value that comes out of these coins is based on how much we're willing to say it's valued at. And it's no different, don't let anybody tell you any different, than a US dollar. And I say that because of this. In 1988, I think it's 1888, it's in the 80s for sure, the US dollar officially stopped being a direct correlation to the amount of gold in the gold reserve. So now, at this moment, okay, so in 1980, whatever, I think I'm almost positive it was 88. For every dollar, that actually signified $1 worth of gold in the Federal Reserve. After that point, they said, we're going to print money according to basically nothing. What we say the value of a dollar is. And ever since then, the United States have been able to print countless amount of physical paper bills and generated countless amounts of digital dollars. You know, when the United States pays your, let's just say your disability or your unemployment, it's just a number. It's a number that says it on the screen. This is how much you're getting paid. That number appears in your bank account. Where do the United States get that money? Well, they say taxes, okay, but it doesn't. It also, a lot of it is generated out of thin air, literally out of thin air. I mean, we have, that's why they say we have trillions of dollars and we're in debt, trillions and trillions of dollars. And that's because it might work with inside of the United States to print fake money, but other countries don't buy that. They say, well, we need some type of tangible backing behind whatever it is we're doing. And now we're at this point where the dollar is no different than a crypto coin, in my opinion. in my opinion. You can buy physical physical gold, but that is even worth what you say it's worth. If it's post-apocalyptic and I own a bar of gold, you think that bar of gold is going to be more valuable than a gallon of water? Probably not. A gallon of water is probably going to be worth way more. Why? Because it's post-apocalyptic. Water is not a very valuable, it's not a very accessible resource. And gold ain't going to do shit for you. You can look at it and marvel at it, and that's it. So, the value of things, including diamonds, even coins, have no real value other than what we give it. So, cryptocurrency is no different than that. Currently, right now, my biggest thing with cryptocurrency is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is actually tangible. Bitcoin is used to buy actual things, and therefore Bitcoin is a real currency in my opinion. Japan uses it. Other Asian countries use it as real currency. You can walk through a store and use cryptocurrency to purchase with Bitcoin items. There's also a few spots in the United States that I personally know. There's a smoke shop in Chinatown in Los Angeles that accepts Bitcoin, and I actually purchased, I forgot what I purchased there, some kind of like lighter or something, using my Bitcoin, just to see just to try it. It wasn't worth it. You know why? Because the United States is charging up the ass to use Bitcoin, to use cryptocurrency. They're taxing it now, and they're also, everything requires a fee to use it. So if I need to send it, I gotta take a big chunk of it out just for fees. That's the only thing that I dislike about cryptocurrency, is that everything requires a high fee to use. Even when you trade, they get a percentage of your trade, but that's no different than the stock market, in my opinion. So, back to cryptocurrency. This is why I like cryptocurrency too. Cryptocurrency is used, specifically Bitcoin is used throughout the world. So, in the case of a natural disaster, let's just say the power grid of the United States went down completely, the whole thing, for reasons unknown. Well, there's a good chance my US dollars are no longer accessible. But if I wanted my crypto coins, I can go to another country, maybe on foot, maybe go to Mexico. Mexico has fucking Bitcoin now, and I cash out my Bitcoin over there in Mexico. Well, guess what? Now I got money. Now I have tangible money that I can use to survive. Or just vice versa. I'm in another country and I had money, and something happened where I needed resources and I didn't have enough time to convert it, or I can't convert it, or let's just say like the dollar collapse where they don't even accept US dollars. Well, cryptocurrency is still going to be recognized throughout the world. And I feel like the only time that cryptocurrency, in particular Bitcoin, isn't going to be valuable is when the entire world starts to collapse as a whole together. And I saw that when the pandemic happened. The whole world got the pandemic, so the whole world's economy started to collapse. So that was the only time I saw that really, really significant dip in crypto. It went down to 6,000 from 20 back in the end of December, I believe, and then tanked all the way to 6, and now it's at 50, almost 60,000. It was at 60 at some point. So I do think it's the way of the future in my short experience with it. There's also ways to trade it. If you know how to trade, and if you do, I did a lot of research on this. I lost a lot of money playing with my money, trying to learn it. There's money to be made in Bitcoin. If Bitcoin continues to go up and you use these little caca coins, they call them shit coins or crap coins, whatever you want to call them, coins that don't really do anything. They're just made by somebody because they're programmers and they wanted to do it, and now they're giving it some kind of value. If you can trade back and forth between that and Bitcoin, back and forth, and obviously now you have to include the fees when you trade, but if you can make 1% of whatever it is that you invested, and then do that again multiple times, because cryptocurrency, you can keep trading it daily, you can trade it hourly. You're not affected by the stuff that the stock market gets affected by, which the stock market, you can't trade daily without being penalized, and also you can't get affected by it closing. The stock market closes. It's not open on certain times. It's not open on the weekends, I think. crypto is 24 hours, and it also affects the markets get affected by other countries when it's their time of the day. I made the most money that I made trading in the middle of the night because guess what? The Asian countries were trading at that time. And what you do, short example of it, is that you trade the value of the coin to Bitcoin. So if I bought it, let's just say I bought a whatever Kaka coin at 0.004 satoshis, but then it increase in Bitcoin value, not dollar value, but increase in Bitcoin value. It went from 0.004 to 0.000. So instead of 4 zeros, it went to 3 zeros, and it went to 1. So that went up roughly 10 satoshis, or even let's just say a little more dramatic, 100 satoshis. So it'd be zeros or 100 satoshis. So it's like 001 as opposed to 4 zeros. Even if Bitcoin was at its lowest, you've now got more Bitcoin. At that point, when Bitcoin does eventually go back up, your wealth is going to grow with that investment. And this way, you're not keeping your coins, you're not keeping your actual money into coins that you don't have any trust in because they don't do anything. Bitcoin does something, so it has a little more, you can trust it a little bit more. Kaka coins that don't have really any use, to leave it into those coins for long periods of time, to me, is a real fast way to lose your money. And some people do believe that they can leave them in there. My friends invested in Tron coin back when Bitcoin first went up. They kept their money. They lost almost all their money. They didn't lose it. They still have the coins, but the value of the coins were nothing. And I think recently somebody had some wild idea to fluff the Tron coins value up again, saying, hey, let's all invest, kind of like the whole GameStop thing. And it went up, and my friend luckily was able to sell it and actually make a profit. But it took from the first time that it went up in December, so I think it was 2018, all the way to 2021 for him to get his money back. And that was not even guaranteed. He could have easily, they both could have easily lost their money and never gotten it back. I have invested in small coins like that, and I never got my money back. One of the ones was this coin called Salt Coin, and it was to invest in this company that was going to actually lend people money so they lend people cryptocurrency or real money loans in exchange for these coins. So you buy X amount of coins, they give you real cash. With that real cash, you can buy Bitcoin, and then you pay them back with interest. I thought that was a really good idea because at that time, Bitcoin was so big that I thought people were going to start literally investing with money that they didn't have, and I was banking on it, and it failed. You don't always win on your investment. That was a gamble investment. I only put I would say $50 in, so it wasn't a crazy loss for me. But there's definitely money to be made in Bitcoin, in my opinion. I think there's other coins that are going to come up right now. What's big about Bitcoin that we need to understand is that it is running out of coins that you can mine, and once that happens, either the value of it's going to be astronomically higher because at that point there will be no more Bitcoins that you can mine. They were literally every single one of them will be owned by somebody, or it goes super low and it drops because you can't get any more coins. Everybody has them, so the value of them is not going to decrease. And both routes, it can take both routes. But that's also, once again, my opinion. Somebody might say, no, it's only going to keep going up. And I think that's a valid position to be in. Oh, real quick on that. If you want to watch coins and you can watch their fluctuations and whatnot, go on coinmarketcap.com. So CoinMarketCap, I wish I had my other computer. I'd be able to pop all this stuff up for you, but it shows you the values, what its price is at. So it's currently at 59,000 in the last 24 hours. What's the percentage drop? And then if you mess with the settings, if you can get Bitcoin value to coins as opposed to dollar value, because dollar value is misleading. Coins might be making its value in Bitcoin, not in dollars. But if Bitcoin goes up or down, that actually affects your money, and you can use that to trade, but people don't know that. They just trade it based on your penny value. Oh, it was at 5 cents and I sold it for 10 cents. Yeah, but what if Bitcoin tanks so bad that it was not even worth selling it? Yeah, you got to think about that kind of stuff. So, the next question was, can I sell cocaine, drugs? I put drugs in quotation, and still help out my community. Short answer to that is yeah, you could. Obviously, there's heavy amounts of repercussion if you sell drugs. There's heavy amounts of it's like high risk, high reward. You know, some of the most richest people are drug dealers, but also they're also most susceptible to going to jail. You know, you give a reason for police to look at you, and they're gonna investigate, and they're gonna find out, oh, that guy's selling these drugs. And especially the higher up you go, the more people below you are gonna, when they get busted, they're gonna rat you out. So I feel like it's a short game, and it might not even be a thing for you if you get unlucky. You might get busted really fast, and then that's it. You're doing time. So, yes. Who is it? Fuck, I can't remember who it is. My friends always talk about it, but they say by any means necessary. I want to say it's Malcolm X, but it might not be. And by any means necessary, and fight the battle that you're trying to fight, especially when it comes to sticking it to the man. By any means necessary, which I guess would include drug sales. But like I said, high risk, high reward. At the end of the day, are you more valuable free as an able body, being able to do something not very illegal, or making a shitload of money and then getting locked up potentially, and now you're one less person on the streets? And for those of you that don't know, incarceration usually leads to having a shitty life after, because you're less hireable, you're less desirable. And yes, there's programs to hire you and all that stuff, but the reality of it, these better jobs, the ones that I was talking about earlier, don't like felons. You say you have a felony on your record, there's a good chance they're not going to hire you. So you cut yourself off from potentially thousands of legitimate money because you wanted to slang dope and make quick money. And most drug dealers, not to say all of them, but how many times do they invest in the community? It becomes I think it becomes a personal venture at that point. But once again, my opinion. Real back on it. I guess I'm just gonna hit investing a little bit more. Or actually, let me explain where I'm at right now in my life. I guess just to kind of finish off this recording. Currently, I am trying to buy a house. That's where I'm at right now. I wasn't too sure if I was gonna buy one in LA or California for that matter, because I don't really see the value in California. I still am concerned about a really bad environmental issue happening in the future, whether it's drought or it's earthquake or it's there's like a lot of things that could potentially happen. Power outage issues. If the global warming is a thing and it continues to get hot, we can lose power, which in turn is gonna, people are gonna start suffering. And when that happens, you want to be in the best places to deal with that. The Pacific Northwest is full of water. I forgot who said it. I need to write these down because I keep saying somebody said it, that there's going to be water wars, and that the last water wars are going to take place in Pacific Northwest. Why? Because that's the most water. So now you got to buy machine guns and fight people for water in the future, the near future. Oh, it's somebody that works for NASA. So if somebody that works for NASA says that, and I can guarantee you they work for NASA, that's pretty scary to me. And that definitely paints not a good picture. So living in California was not ideal for me, actually, but I came to the point where I am working at Edison. It is SoCal Edison, so I don't get to go anywhere outside of SoCal unless I want to go look for another job, and I currently don't. So what I'm hoping for is that I'm able to buy enough time with the work that I am doing to eventually live somewhere else and develop enough skills to go and get a job anywhere I want. That's my goal. That's my investment in myself and with my family. I do want to buy a house right now because my current living situation, my kids are getting bigger. I'm in a 1-bedroom. Even though I love the people I'm with, I think we're just outgrowing it. But at the same time, I'm really frustrated and upset at the fact that we are currently at an age where the land and the properties are so expensive that it's almost humanly impossible for anybody on the poor end of the spectrum to have sustainable housing. I mean, I'll give you an example. I went house shopping this last 2 weeks, not Easter weekend, but the weekend before, and we found a house. It was $333,000. It was pretty nice. It's pretty much everything I want. It's actually a 4-bedroom. It's a 2-bedroom, but they illegally built 2 more bedrooms, and they built this big, huge den, which I'm like, wow, that's perfect for the kids. They could play in there. All their toys could be in there. I have my own room. My wife has her own. My wife have her own room. The kids have their own room, and I even have an extra room for an office and my beat studio, whatever else I want to be. Workshop, I don't care. And a garage. It had a garage too. So a big old backyard, all that space for only $333,000. That's within my 350 limit that I have at the moment. And I was like, perfect. This house is gonna be perfect. I actually put in an offer. My real estate agent told me that the sellers were like, well, we're actually getting offers at $375,000. So they're asking for $333,000. People are giving $375,000 offers, and they said if you want us to even remotely look at you, you should probably offer $400,000. Yeah, that's not doable. 1, I don't qualify for that, and 2, I'm not paying $400,000 for that house. The house is nice, but it wasn't that nice. So I was just like, and also just so you guys know, when you buy a house that isn't legal, when you try and sell it, you limit yourself to who can buy that house. If somebody with an FHA, a first-time home buyer loan, tries to buy your house and you don't have legal building stuff all over your house, like you build extra rooms that weren't sanctioned by the city, the state, you can't sell them that house. The only people who can buy it off you are people with conventional loans. And if anybody has an issue, like an inspector says, "Oh, dude, this room you built is gonna collapse. I need you to fix that, or you can't sell this house," that could potentially affect how you sell that house. You might have to build that room all over again or tear it down, decreasing your value and costing you out of your own pocket money that you could have potentially made. So it wasn't worth it. It's not worth it. Now, that was, like I said, that was the first time I put an offer. So I have hopes that in the future, when I go house hunting, house hunting, I was just thinking about Rick and Morty. They like were physically like with guns hunting houses. I'm probably gonna put that, maybe since this is recording, I maybe just throw that in there. I'm hoping that was just that one house, because it was a lot of stuff. Like, I'm not gonna lie, for $333,000, you're getting a bang for your buck. But I do think that there's hopefully better stuff out there that are worth actually the amount. But my biggest thing is that I want a yard so I can have potentially animals. I can potentially have a place to build a ceremonial spot for me and my friends and whoever else needs it. And then also enough space for myself, my wife, or my kids, and also enough space to maybe have a workshop where my wife could eventually build, who knows, maybe a business, and we'll finally be like making enough money to quit our jobs. That's kind of the goal here. I don't want to work for somebody for the rest of my life. I don't want to work till I'm 65 and then retire and that's it. I would rather live off the land in the best way that I can, and the only way I see myself doing that is having to work the system to get to that point where I'm able to buy whatever it is, maybe sell that house in the future, and use that money that I have, if I have any equity, to maybe buy some land that's more long-term livable, like what I was saying, Pacific Northwest, or somewhere where there's a water source, or where there's, access to animals, to food sources, vegetation sources, soil that's actually very rich, where I can grow crops, things like that. So that's my long-term goal. Short-term goal is to find a place for me and my family. Also in October, I'll be able to look for a new job. Not a new job, but like a new position. I'll be able to actually leave my position. So there's a good chance that I'll either transfer further out east, because that's kind of where I'm looking to buy a house, and this way my commute's not that bad, or even potentially just get a better job. And who knows, maybe the one better job that I find is somewhere else, so that maybe I could buy my house according to that, and not be stuck in LA because I have to drive to Compton. So that ultimately is what I'm trying to do. I think that's pretty much it. Are we living in major? Let me just go back to that one. So, I mean, yeah, like, to make myself feel a little bit better about life, I do like to think that we are in like a video game, only because video games are built around how we live our life, and it's kind of like it goes back and forth. When especially like RPGs like Skyrim, when you watch Skyrim or play Skyrim, you have to like learn skills. You got to learn how to smith, you got to learn how to tan leather, you got to, like, there's these little like skills that you can focus on, and then with that skill you can actually sell your goods to other merchants, and and it literally becomes like real life. And I personally think it's a reason why people get so sucked into video games, is because they ultimately succeed more in real life. I mean, in the video game world than in real life, and it becomes a dopamine source, and a source of like accomplishment, that achievement feeling that you get from like completing goals in a video game, versus real life, which is literally everything's pitted against us. Everything is designed for us to fail when you're not at the top already, and it only continues to get like that. I mean the values of property, for that matter, is I mean, it's fucking ridiculous. It's through the roof. It's beyond its value. Like, when I think of a house in El Sereno, where I grew up, Northeast LA, gang infested still, shootings happening there all the time. Why would you pay $600,000 to $1 million, $600,000 to $1 million for a house that is still surrounded by those things, where you can still get robbed, you can still get shot, you can. There's like so many things that could happen there, and your property isn't that big, your neighbors are breathing down your neck, but for some reason it's $600,000. For some reason it's $1 million for a little tiny 3-bedroom. It's ridiculous. It's gentrification that has a lot to do with it, but also people keep buying at those prices, and as long as people keep buying at those prices, it is gonna keep the market going sky high. And it's really fucked up for people like me and my friends and my family who don't have a lot and are trying to do better. It's really frustrating. I'm not gonna lie, it makes me very depressed when I try and think, oh, I'm gonna buy a house and I have to live out in Lake Elsinore, Ontario, Riverside. I never thought in a million years I'd live in Riverside. I have family that live there, and I used to hate going over there. It's not a pretty place. I mean, now it kind of is. Honestly, it's not that bad. Chino is not that bad. Corona is not that bad. But like Rialto, it hasn't gotten any better. The prices are now barely bearable, and you're buying into, once again, really not a good place to live. And it's little by little, a smaller folk, low income, more lower on the lower spectrum of income, are being pushed out to the east and eventually to the deserts. The house that I really really liked, like legitly just like looking at it and like, oh wow, that's exactly the kind of house I want. We're in like Palm Springs, Hemet, like these really really desert, like where I'm at, desert, Yucca Valley, desert areas that I like do not want to live in. I don't want to get caught out here in the worst natural disaster where there's no water. Like this place has no water already, and then compound that being literally a like Death Valley desert. So yeah, no, I'm not. I'm good with that. I'm not trying to. I really, as beautiful as the houses are, as pretty as they are, places like Apple Valley, they're not what I want. And I'm just hoping I don't have to settle for those places because I can't afford to buy a house where I live. The other alternative is to move out of state, but then I have to start my life all over again. I have to get another job. I have to get another place to stay. I have to look. I don't even know. Like, see, that was something I would love if somebody knows how to do that type of stuff. Go and uproot and go to another state. If you can help me with that, I would love to hear that, because like trying to wrap my mind around that, I don't know how people do it. And I hear I don't want to say white people, but I hear white people say, yeah, I got up and went to this state. I got up and went to, like, how did you do that? How much money did you have that you were able to just get up and go somewhere else? When I worked for AT&T, I lived in a lot of people's. I went to a lot of people's homes, and I got to speak to a lot of the customers, and a lot of them were white because I was in the West Valley area, going all the way to Calabasas, where Kim Kardashian lives, and West Hills, and Agora Hills, and in those areas. And yeah, they talk about that type of stuff all the time. Oh yeah, I moved from here, I moved from there, I moved from here. And then when I talk to my people, even my own actual family, my own relatives, my family are originally from New Mexico. In the 1930s, they followed the agricultural trail to go pick crops for money. So my Pueblo ancestors in the 1930s migrated to Bakersfield and picked crops, and then ended up staying in LA. That wasn't because they wanted to. It wasn't because they just like, yeah, let's go uproot. No, it's because they had to, because there was no work. And these people in West Hills are just like, yeah, I got up and left. Yeah, it's beautiful there, but I really like it here. I like the weather. I want to be here. It's better. It's like, oh, it must be nice. So yeah, that's pretty much, I think that's everything I wanted to talk about. I'm really bummed that I couldn't go live. It really kind of sucks because I'm at this hotel for, I would say, about 2 weeks. These next episodes are not going to be live. They're going to have to be filmed like this, unless I go to, like, maybe I go home just for the night. I don't know. I wouldn't want to do that. It's a 2-hour drive. But what's cool about that is I could probably film it whenever. I could film it at any point in time. So, yeah. I wish there was more questions. I feel like I have so much more to say, and yet nothing to say. You know what? I want to hit a little more about jobs too. Like, I do feel that it's very important also to pick a job that you're going to be happy at, because it can make you a lot of money, but if you're not happy in there, don't stay there. That's my biggest takeaway from life. And some people are happy with the bare minimum, and that's okay. But I personally am not okay with that, and I don't think people should settle for that if they're not okay with it either. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I'm not gonna go more into this because I pretty much hit all the stuff that I wanted to hit. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and tune in for Thursday. I do know what I'm going to talk about. It's actually going to be very serious. This is kind of serious too, but I definitely want to talk about some heavy stuff. I'm reading some relationship books, and it made me think of something, and I was just like, whoa, like didn't even know that was a thing. But I don't want to give too much away. But it has to do with PTSD. It has to do with relationships with your parents, relationship with your significant other if you have one. And yeah, I'm gonna probably hit that topic. So tune in. Obviously, I'm not gonna go live, so it won't be at the times that you were used to. Where it will be is probably on YouTube. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I appreciate you guys like and follow all that good stuff if you can. Subscribe, just so I can get the live ability and all that stuff. Also, if I could get it monetized, that'd be great. I'm dedicating time of my life to do this, but not that I deserve to get paid for it, but this is definitely, it's fun for me, so I don't really care. But if I could get paid and have fun, then y'all making my life a billion times better. So thank y'all. Have a good one.